So if I had $1 for every time that somebody told me, like, my business isn't working really well, or I wish I was making more sales, I'm not working with enough people, you know what I think I'll do? I'm going to start Facebook ads. Well, then I could take all those dollars and I could put them towards my own Facebook ads. But I'll be here all week. All right. So anyway, I can't tell you how many times I have heard from people, and you probably have too, and maybe you've even thought this because I used to think this too, that if something's not working in your business, then the answer to your little business prayers might be Facebook ads, right? If something's not selling enough, you throw Facebook ads at it. If you want to create a passive product, you think, how am I going to sell this? Oh, I'll just start Facebook ads, and then like somehow it'll magically sell. It's really similar to the logic that we all use when we start our businesses and we, pop up our websites for the first time, and then we're like, okay, I hit publish on this blog post. Like, why aren't all the inquiries rolling in? Why is the New York Times not calling me for a quote? I don't understand. I hit publish on my website. We sometimes think that the product that we create, and I don't mean like just the literal product that you sell, but like your website or the actual product or a piece of content, will just somehow magnetically and naturally attract people to it. And we don't realize that creating that thing, whatever that end thing is really just the beginning of this process of figuring out even more steps of how to bring people to it, right? How to lead people naturally to the water to get them to drink, right? But we don't just like put a glass of water out and everybody just starts drinking out of it. So I see that a lot with Facebook ads in terms of people expecting it to just naturally attract people in or naturally work or something like this. And I also think that people think that even once they've got a successful business, that you can just like turn on Facebook ads, right? So maybe you've already started working with clients, you're already coaching people, and you're like, I don't feel like having to talk about this stuff on Instagram anymore. I'll just start Facebook ads, and then everything will just happen naturally. No more sales, right? Or I don't have to be present in my business. I can take my foot off the gas. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today because I feel like I've thought all of these things in the past. I've gone through all of these myself, and I've seen so many other people go through it too. And what I'm hoping is that in today's episode that you'll, first of all, maybe get a little bit more clarity as to whether or not you even want them, whether it would be helpful to your business, but also if it is something that you're interested in, then what things do you need to have in place in your business in order to successfully run Facebook ads? There are many, many different ways to do this. You can run Facebook ads for anything from things like awareness, right, of your business, your brand, or your products. Familiarity, I can never say that word, to become aware of your brand and for people to be familiar with you and like to hear about it constantly, right? Really that top of mind sales situation. Also to make sales, right? People just run Facebook ads to run sales all the time. And for things like opt-ins, right? Getting people to opt into your freebies, to listen to your podcast, to watch your webinar, whatever, and to nurture your audience, last but not least. But nurturing your audience is an important part of running Facebook ads. It's not a part that I hear a lot of people talking about. So I'll be really excited to chat with you about this today. So Facebook ads need a pathway, right? They need a funnel. In my opinion, the main reason that Facebook ads don't work, or the reason that haven't worked for certain people, is that people don't run them with intention and they don't run them through a pathway. People think that if they just put these ads up, the people will come, right? Kind of what I was talking about at the beginning of this episode. And ads really need a pathway. For example, I had a friend years ago who, this was like a long time ago. She invested in Facebook ads to run Facebook ads to her free discovery calls. So she was a coach. She would get on a sales call with someone and then they would buy her program. And she just ran ads directly to this sales call. Now, imagine you being on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. You get hit with an ad from somebody you don't know, right? It might be a picture of them. It depends on what they're using for creative. And this copy in the post is just like directing you to book a call. And you're like, for what? About what? Why? Is this me? I don't even know. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do. Why would I want to get on the phone with you? Not to mention the fact that running an ad to a free call is like a surefire way to get on free calls with a lot of people who are just seeking free calls. Like, it shouldn't be that easy, right, to get on the phone with you. We don't want to just end up on the phone with just anybody, right? That's like a surefire way to waste your time and to not make very many sales and to not be able to grow your business because you're always on the phone with the wrong people. So we don't want to do that, right? And we want to run Facebook ads with intention. So that's an example of where I saw that, where it just like, it didn't really make sense. I had another friend, though, on the flip side, who already had a very successful business. So she wasn't, the first friend I was talking about was running this because she wanted to generate more sales. She wasn't happy with the amount of sales she was making. I had another friend, though, during that same time period who already was making a lot of money in her business. And she was like, I just don't feel like having to do all the work to get people into my program all the time. So I'm just going to run ads to like purchase this program, right? And it was a total flop. The ads didn't work, right? Her program is super successful. She's an amazing coach. All of that stuff stayed the same. It's just that the ads don't work. And then that's why you end up hearing all of these horror stories from people about like, oh, this person lost 20 grand, this person lost 10 grand. Like it's throwing money down the toilet. That's why you hear all of these stories, because these stories all have a reason behind why the ads didn't work. It's not that ads don't work. It's that their ads didn't have any purpose or intention, or there was something off, right? Something in their funnel wasn't working. Something in the product wasn't working. Something in the creative, the ad stuff that you see, right? The visuals, the copy wasn't working. It's not usually because ads themselves don't work, right? Any ad expert will tell you that. So the list can go on and on. I could tell you these stories all day long, and you'll hear horror stories left and right about people who've lost so much money with Facebook ads. I, on the other hand, am somebody who could tell you mostly just success stories from my business's perspective about how incredible ads have been. And that doesn't mean that my Facebook ads and my experience with Facebook ads has been without like any bumps along the road, right? So when I first started running Facebook ads about 1.5 years ago, I started out by doing kind of a hybrid approach where I was making the creative myself. I was writing the copy, and the company that I was working with would at least just review them just to give some like pointers and tips of like, oh, it's not good to say that in a Facebook ad because some things get rejected. And then we would run these ads and they would help me to understand like the audience and stuff like this. So when I first started running them, Facebook kept shutting down my ads account because Facebook is just finicky, right? It's all like run on these like AI, algorithm things. So they would catch certain words and they would think that it was spam, and they don't allow Facebook ads for like MLM type stuff. So they if you use money, like terminology, sometimes that can get to be an issue. There are all kinds of things. And I remember immediately being like, oh my God, this is why I never wanted to do this. Everyone was right. Facebook ads are horrible. This was a terrible mistake. I've wasted all this money. And I spiraled and went into all the mindset drama about it, right? Over the next couple of weeks, I would say like a month or two into running the Facebook ads, we kind of got that stuff all ironed out. I understood what words I couldn't say. I understood how to phrase things. I started to learn some of the more like visual trends at that time, which are not even trends anymore. And I got my feet under me with Facebook ads, right? Pretty quickly, because I already had a funnel in place that was selling really, really well organically, pretty quickly the ads worked. Right. So I was somebody who I don't think you have to do this like me. You don't have to wait so long, but I was so scared and so resistant to it that I did wait a long time. But I think that because I did, my ads team tells me this all the time. My funnel was so ironed out. It was successful. We knew it converted. We knew people loved the products, my ultimate bundle. And we also knew that the webinar was really good, right? That was the freebie that was kind of leading them in. We knew that it was good. We knew it converted. We knew that we hit people's questions and objections and all of these things, right? And we just had everything really well in place, right? So for me, going into Facebook ad land was really like pouring gasoline on an already roaring fire, but it just kind of made it whoosh, go up, right? It was a lot. I think when we think about our businesses, they're very big in our minds, but then we kind of forget how little it is in everybody else's mind, because you're carrying this around. It's like your baby, right? Or maybe your non-human baby if you have human babies. So you're carrying this around and it's very top of mind for you. And so I think sometimes it can be hard to remember that you're not necessarily top of mind for everybody else naturally. So Facebook ads are just one way to kind of like basically reshuffle yourself back to the top of someone's inbox, right? You're kind of bumping your business all the time to the back of somebody's or to the top of somebody's inbox, and you're getting to the top of their mind, right? So they're seeing your ads. It's repetitive. We know that things that are repetitive become more normal and accepted, right? So, and familiar. So this person's name becomes familiar. Maybe the name of your product or your program becomes like second nature to them. They know who you are. Your name is synonymous. I've talked about this a lot too. Like getting to that place where your name is synonymous with the thing that you do is a really, really helpful thing in online business. So one way we can do that is through Facebook ads. I also think they can be attention grabbing because I always think about how, we're targeting people with ads who may follow us already and maybe have some level, like they're a little bit familiar with us, but we also are landing in front of people who have never heard of you before at all. And I always think about this, like with what I do in particular, because it's, I get it. It's not like, it's boring and it's dry, right? Typically speaking, I think I tried to make it like as interesting as humanly possible. But with something that I do, people might not want to like follow somebody like me on social media. They might think like, I just want to get my contract and be done with it. Like, I don't need to hear about this, right? Or like, oh, who wants to follow a lawyer? I've heard that one before. So I think, depending on what you do, you might face that kind of attitude from somebody. But I sometimes think that ads are a nice way that we can like break those barriers. So I very intentionally, and this is like hot tip right here, I very intentionally use like playful and casual and fun ads as a way of getting people's attention, but also in breaking down that barrier, because that is such a core part of my business anyway, right? Like it's such a core part of my business for people to realize like, oh, I thought you were going to be this like stuffy lawyer. And in fact, you're like pretty down to earth and you can break things down in a casual way. Yeah, that's me, right? That's my brand. That's my actual product, right? That's what your experience is going to be like if you buy the ultimate bundle. You don't like all of a sudden come into it and face a stuffy lawyer like you're with me. So I think like I always think of the ads are kind of like the first time we meet at a party, right? And you're like, oh, she's not that bad. I was kind of, I came in with maybe some judgments and some preconceived notions. It's not that bad. So that's one thing. The other thing is that you can grab their attention with maybe something that they didn't know or weren't aware of. Oftentimes, I think one of the best ways to grab somebody's attention is either by busting a myth or by telling them something that they didn't know they didn't even know. Right. So particularly in my industry, it can be really helpful to be like, hey, did you know that you even have to do this? Or like, have you been having these thoughts, but you weren't sure where, you could go to get them solved, like where to get your contract? I can help. Right. So just kind of, I think breaking down some of those barriers can be a great way through Facebook ads to get their attention. I would also say that we can build new awareness, right? So there might be people on Instagram or Facebook who might not even know that someone like you exists. So one thing that I hear a lot from people who get served with my ads, they'll send me a message and be like, I had all of these questions, but I had no idea that somebody like you even existed. Or I had all these questions and I wasn't sure if there was somebody who specifically focused on online business, and then boom, there you were in my Instagram feed. So there can just be this like new awareness and that people didn't even know they needed to know about or that you existed. And that's great. I also think that Facebook ads, one of the last purposes that I'll share with you is that I think Facebook ads can be the closer. So Facebook ads, I think, can also help you to close the deal when people have been following you. They have been checking out your product or program for a million years. And then now they're like, you know what? I hear about this thing all the time. You hit them at the right moment when they actually need something, right? Or when whatever becomes available, or it's like now's the time that works for them to need your product, and they get served with your ad and boom. Or maybe it's that something's on sale or there's a promotion and they see it at the right time. So I think that those to me are the main purposes of running Facebook ads.